Let's take a look at the Old Testament to begin with. That basically, as I've said, is the Bible of the Jews. And Jews remain monotheists simply because the Old Testament makes it imperative that you should have only one God. The Ten Commandments were given to Moses according to Deuteronomy chapter 5 and Exodus chapter 20. And in these passages, it is very clear. First commandment, you should have no other but Yahweh for God. Second commandment, you should not make any graven images of anything resembling that which flies in the sky or walks on the earth or swims in the ocean. Why? Because God does not resemble any of these things. Now, this not only indicates that there is only one God, but it indicates that God will not be like anything that flies in the sky or walks on the earth or swims in the ocean. When Jesus comes walking on the earth, obviously from these imperatives it follows that Jesus is not God. Moreover, in the Old Testament, it is clear that God does not change. In Malachi chapter 3 verse 6, it says, I am Yahweh, I do not change. So if Yahweh was not a man, then for him to become a man would involve change, and that would contradict the Old Testament. In the book of Deuteronomy, in chapter 13 and 18, it is also given as an imperative that if anyone comes to you and calls upon you to worship another God other than Yahweh, then you should stone him to death. Now imagine the situation. Suppose Yahweh had in mind that eventually one day I will come on the earth in the form of a man, and obviously people are not going to recognize me because I already told them I don't look like anything that walk on the earth. Then he has made it necessary for the Jews to stone him if he's going to come in the form of a man. So when he sends his son, as our Christian friends say, in the form of a man, who happens to be God now in some, almost like in human disguise, but our Christian friends will say that he is not in human disguise. He's fully human and fully God at the same time. But when he now appears to everyone as a human being, then naturally they would have no option but to stone him, in which case it follows that God would have set up the Jews to kill his son. So it does not really gel with the scriptures. Moreover, in the Old Testament, in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19, God said that he is not a man, nor is he the son of man. And it is interesting that our Christian friends say that Jesus is the Son of Man. So if he's the Son of Man, and the Bible already declared that God is not the Son of Man, then it follows that Jesus is not God.